Here we go. This is the stuff dreams are made of. I'm writer-collector Ryan Condal.
And I'm writer-collector Dave Mandel. Can we do a second take? I think we can do that better. Oh, no, wait.
Do you want to do it again?
Yeah. Go.
This
Just
is
start
live.
again. Yeah.
Live from New York.
Yeah,
It's Saturday. No.
Hi,
Hello,
everyone.
everybody.
We're very excited. We actually have human beings in the chat. A couple of Russian bots, but we've got a couple of human beings. Oh, my God. David Brolin from Stockholm. Hello, David.
I wasn't going to do it, Dave, but I think I'm going to vote for Trump. I've been convinced over the last 13 seconds that really I've been misguided, and that's the future of the country.
I am going to start, for anyone that was paying attention to my social media stream. We went to Madonna last night. It is daylight savings here in America, and so we lost an hour, and Madonna did not go on till 10 p.m., which technically speaking was 11 p.m. if you think about the daylight savings. That's when the concert started. So yeah. I am exhausted.
You're
and
doing great.
Really sharp for our live broadcast. We just got a bonjour from an actual, I believe, French person.
This is incredible.
JP, this is wild.
This might be the greatest thing that's ever happened to us on the Stuff Dreams Are Made of, Dave.
No, this
we
is
actually
insane.
have people listening.
We have humans. Yeah.
Seemingly real. We love this, guys. Thank you.
This is fantastic. Thank you, guys. We're really excited about this. This is going to be something we're going to be doing from time to time. And hopefully it gets only better and better and better. And we're trying to add some prizes, so there'll be occasionally some giveaways too, but we haven't quite mastered that yet. There's a program, apparently, this is where they just start tuning off. There's a program apparently that allows us to basically randomize everybody that is in the chat, and then no one has to do anything. We can just press a button and then just go like, oh my gosh, Knights of Old, you won something, or whatever, or Dan Gaston, you won something. So that doesn't work quite yet, but that's coming down the line.
But we are giving away Dave's giant size X-Men #1 original art, so stay tuned.
Just have to say the magic word, but we never said what the magic word was, but good luck.
Discuss it.
I was going to say we're going to do this again next week for the Heritage Auction, the H-word auction, for the Treasures of Planet Hollywood. And like I said, we'll be doing this from time to time. So please, thank you for coming. But let's just do it. It's going to be a regular kind of show. We're going to talk about things, but you guys are also allowed to throw in some questions about things in the catalog and whatnot, or things on your mind, or please just jump on in. Honestly, there's no other good way of saying that. We welcome the live element, I guess, if I may say. So let's start with what's new in props. Ryan, do you have anything what's new in props? It's so funny if you just went no. Just no, and then just weird, awkward silence. Yeah.
No, I mean, there are a couple of things. I laughed earlier this week, and I sent it to you. I guess this sort of qualifies. The problem is we come into the season hot with so many new things that we build up over the off season, and then we sort of have to bleed them off because, of course, not a new thing happens every single week.
Oh, really?
Well, for you it does. You're bidding on eBay right now. You have 17 windows open.
My understanding of, I guess, the prop, well, okay, fine. Go on. Continue on with your it doesn't happen every single week fantasy, but go on.
So we've had this sort of running gag with Dave and I, how like every time we go into an auction catalog and there's a signed photo or something, Dave is always looking for the, Orson Welles to David, because he would love to buy it and then frame it and put up at his wall and tell this, made up story about how Orson Welles dedicated this photo to him. So I was scanning through the various comic art websites and things this week, and I found this amazing original Steve Ditko piece.
Yeah, no, it's pretty incredible. It's coming up in the May comic auction.
Yes.
And it's a pinup that was also used for the 1960 whatever door poster. Which
did you recognize the art?
I kind of recognized the art in the sense of it didn't run in Spider-Man. It ran later, but I knew the poster and I could kind of see parts of the poster in it. But I guess even not recognizing it, it's just an incredible piece of art.
You recognize that it's Ditko.
I recognized it was Ditko and that it was great. Yeah. So those two things.
And it's inscribed. It's signed by Ditko and inscribed to David. and Mark, which
And
is
Mark,
almost like even better than if it was just to David. And I just love it. And I sent it to you. And I mean, you have to bid on
I
this.
feel like an eraser gun could get rid of Mark.
You
in a
take it
way
to
that
those
looks
paper
normal.
guys
Yeah.
up in the valley, the master paper guys that can do anything, and you just remove the Mark, and it's just it's all you.
Or I talked to one of the kids if they're willing to change their name to Mark.
I'll change my name to Mark.
Yeah.
We can pretend that it's it's for the podcast, and Ditko came to us. But that was my what's new in props. It was really a what's new for Dave.
Well,
what do you
for
have,
that.
Dave?
I've got something good. Knights of Old says he wants to win an apartment tour from me.
Oh, there you go.
We could talk about that, assuming an apartment tour where no one flies you to Los Angeles, puts you up in a hotel, and you're willing
pays
to
for your Uber.
Yeah, pays for your Uber, gives you any refreshments or anything to drink while you're in there. You're not allowed to use the bathroom
or touch anything,
and you have to take a COVID test. But other than that, I think it's a pretty great prize. So something to discuss about. Oh, look, Mark S says, I'm happy to be a surrogate Mark. That sounds perfect.
Okay, that's good.
Ken Storms, hello. And who
Peg
else?
Leg Pete wants to know who painted our Stuffed Dreams Are Made of Art.
I think he knows, but it's Phil Noto, the great comic artist.
The great Phil Noto.
Yes, the great Phil Noto. I had a really wonderful What's New in Props week. Not necessarily size, but certainly in I guess maybe scope or at least in something I like, which is our old friend of the show, Rob Klein, tracked down for me from the old Moonlighting TV show, which is a real fan favorite of mine. Really, both a show I loved, but also an influence, if I may say, on my writing. He just came up with one of those car placards, just for one of the cars, wow. On a set. So it's just a Moonlighting logo. We are putting that up in our social media, so you can see that on Instagram at Props Podcast, Twitter, Facebook. You can see a picture of it there because we haven't quite figured out how to show you a picture on this thing. So again, a work in progress, but I'm very excited about this Moonlighting car thing, just because Moonlighting props are few and far between. We've seen some wardrobe drawings in the last couple of years, and I've grabbed one or two of those. And
right.
But I don't know. Again, it's whatever. It was an 80s show with regular people in suits and dresses, and so the props are fewer and far between. But I'm very excited to get that Moonlighting piece. So thank you, Rob Klein, and thank you, Moonlighting. That was all pretty. That was pretty good. Really Eric Courtney says, story. Love Rob. He sold me my first prop. Eric Courtney, what was the prop Rob sold you? Very curious about that. Throw that in there. That'd be fun. This chat thing is very exciting, very fun.
I like this.
Bart, how many people are actually in the chat? Do you have a count? Like how many people are here? Can you?
It 55. Told us before we launched.
55. Holy shit! Thank you guys. Really, really appreciate that.
That's a good 75% of our listener base. So
Richard Miller. So I guess you can see it's not a secret that it's 55.
Yeah. Good.
Let's see. Wanted to take a moment to acknowledge that the podcast is going to outlive the original company that canceled it. Found that out this week. Yes. That's
a good What's New in Props.
Yeah, a pour one out, if you will, in the What's New in Props for Rooster Teeth, which very excitedly brought us together. Well, we brought ourselves together, but basically very excitedly was the first sponsor of the show, the broadcaster of the show, and then proceeded to not particularly get us any press, not particularly promo the show, and kind of wanted out of it as quickly as possible, at which point thank God our lawyers, who basically said, when we made the original deal, we own the show, we own the logo, we own the theme music, basically
Giant Size X-Men number one.
We were kind of able to just kind of run away with our show. So poor Rooster Teeth. Peg Leg Pete asks, is there a picture that normally hangs on the two hooks behind Dave's head? And the answer is there's something there from when I was in college in the Harvard Lampoon that at this point would be considered inappropriate, I believe is the word. I'm not sure if it would fully get me canceled, but it would not get me canceled. And it hung
It's the Nazi frog, I think.
It involved the president of Harvard at the time, Neil Rudenstein, and Dom DeLuise. That's the only hint I can give. Right. And I took it down. Basically, COVID started. Everyone started Zooming. I downloaded an app called Zoom. And then I started to see my own screen and have to kind of go like kind of like this, basically, to kind of block it with my own head. And then at some point, I just took it down. It's sort of sitting on the floor, and I have never quite put anything back up there.
Very good.
So yeah, that's the cancellation. The
Very
cancellation.
good. Though I do,
yeah.
as we get deeper into the podcast, I do have a pitch for
Oh.
you from the Propstore auction catalog for the
my lord!
Behind Your Head.
Very exciting!
Yeah.
Very exciting!
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get right into it. And as you probably know from last week, we did kind of our regular episode about the let's start with this. Ooh, I hope everyone has theirs. This is the Propstore Entertainment Memorabilia Live auction, which is going to be March 12th through 14th here in Los Angeles. Go to propstore.com. If you're not registered, you can register lots of different ways, phone bidding, blah, 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 blah. We're going to talk more about that later, but go to propstore.com and sign up if you have not signed up. There is also tomorrow night, Monday night, a special thing at the Peterson Museum, although I think you already have to have tickets to that. There's going to be a little bit of...
I think that's sold out pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think it's sold out, so I apologize. So maybe I shouldn't be telling you about that. But anyway, it exists.
Well, no, but
yeah,
if you have a ticket, you should go.
Yes,
it's the
go if you have a ticket,
live
yeah.
the live preview for Propstore's
with Anthony Daniels
auction.
and Armstrong is there. What's his name?
Neil
Armstrong. No, not Armstrong. Jesus Christ. Just memory fried. Stuntman, Raiders.
Vic
Armstrong. Yes.
Yeah.
There.
That makes more sense than Neil.
Yes. There you go. Frank Berman. Vic, thank you for not having gone Frank Berman to Madonna last night. My brain is frozen. So, we went through this catalog already kind of once and kind of did a little bit of a very slow Chuck on your Vic there. We kind of went through and kind of did a deep dive, but we thought we would this week we've made some new categories and thought that would be very fun. But real quick, because we've got a good question there from JP. What's your white whale? I think my white whale is still sitting in Dallas waiting to be shipped to me. I think I finally got it. So I think my white whale, for those longtime listeners, was a screen used ILM prop, preferably from Star Wars, and preferably something that was, very recognizable. And needless to say, the Greg Jean X-Wing sort of filled all of those checklists. And I am someone, and we've talked about this before, I'm not a big believer in having like 10 white whales or 11 holy grails. It kind of diminishes it. So I am a pretty happy person, and I have not necessarily there's no new white whale. There's no I kind of got it, and I'm pretty, I don't know, shocked and thrilled. So I'm as happy as I can possibly be as a manic depressive. So yeah, I'm pretty happy. How about you, Ryan? Where are you in the white whale situation?
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard. I mean, I've been lucky enough that I kept in my collecting career. I kept thinking that it was something in front of me, and then I kept getting them, and so I kept having to go kind of bigger and bigger, because you need to always keep that thing on the horizon to chase the thing you don't have. And I think now the answer, if you put a gun to my head, the answer would be from Star Wars, certainly. I think the answer would be one of a Vader helmet, or as I've mentioned before, Hero Han Solo blaster.
Sure.
I think the Solo blaster has been somewhat diminished just because I got that great stunt that I have. And yes, the stunt is not a hero, but I've at least checked that
scratched
box in some way.
Yes,
exactly.
Scratched an itch, yeah.
And so I think I would just go Vader helmet probably right now. But yes, I've been very lucky and have gotten to witness my co-host take down his white whale this year. So maybe mine is in the near future, but hopefully it doesn't cost quite as much.
Or more. Either
Dave hopes that it costs more.
I just would like you to spend $5 million on a prop, and I want it to be really tiny too. But anyway, a couple of interesting questions that popped up there. Do I own Lucy Lawless's costume from Eurotrip? Prop King asks. No, I do not. I do own the Flugenkenheimler, or I took the Flugenkenheimler. So I have that. Most of the costumes, last I heard, I think are still in Prague, possibly in storage. So if anybody knows anything about Still King, which was the production company in Prague. They may be there still, and I'd love to grab a hold of a couple of things. So that's the answer to that. And then Knights of Old Wonders, do props ever smell, and is that ever a good thing worth preserving? I'm not sure I would preserve a smell. I have definitely had old paperwork that is musty that I didn't care for.
Yeah, I didn't actually think of that, but I do have an award for smelliest prop in Ryan's collection.
Which is?
And do you know what it is? Do you want to guess what it is? It's in this room. Do you want to take a swing?
The brim of the hat or something? Like the inside of the hat, the sweatband?
It's Statler and Waldorf. They stink. They really
just from
stink.
the sweatiness of the hands and the arms, basically?
I guess so. And it's like a weird sort of I mean, I take it as kind of like the material. It's old balloons. Is the best way that I can go with it.
Well,
and I
better
wonder
than
if
old sweat or old Jim
or old
Henson
men
sweat. Yeah.
This literal smell of Statler and Waldorf. So but it's funny because it took me a while to track down because I've moved around. But like that, when I slide open the door of the cases, that smell has been consistent wherever they have been. So it is them, and it does build up over time. And hopefully it's not the latex breaking down and rotting.
Yeah,
but
fascinating. I would never have thought about that. Boy, that's interesting.
Yeah. Stinky gentleman.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Fascinating.
And Melissa C says, we're catching up, that if I buy the Sabrina dress, that I will lose the award for the most masculine prop collection, which I do appreciate with all of my whips and guns and
I
swords.
do think
it could balance it out a little bit.
The Indy hat on top of the Sabrina dress
would be
beautiful.
the ultimate.
I'm just saying it would look
new white whale.
Yeah. Do I have props from Seinfeld? Asks Stanley. Yes, I do. I kept the Bizarro statue from my episode, The Bizarro Jerry. On the final night of Seinfeld, we all just took stuff from the kitchen, basically from Monk's, the diner. And so I have like a napkin thing, a coffee thing, a coat, just kind of like a set of silverware. I kind of took all of that. And a couple other little odds and ends, but that was basically it. I think I have a George costume, although the George costume may be from the Curb Your Enthusiasm Seinfeld season. So,
when they were trying to
when we
redid
the new finale. More questions to come, but let us dive in a little bit to the podcast official reason for existing, which is Treasures from Film and Television Propstore live auction March 12th through 14th. And if you didn't guess, this episode is brought to you by Propstore, and wait till you hear their live ad later. But first question, Ryan, about this catalog.
Yeah.
Thing you wish you were sophisticated enough to bid on and buy in this catalog. If you and I were not just the
12-year-old
ruffian plebes that we are, yes. If we had an air of sophistication, what would you buy?
If we didn't permanently live in Neverland, running from parental guidance. I think Melissa C nailed it. I think it's that Audrey Hepburn dress. It encapsulates everything and in our lives. And I have a young child that lives in my house that was named after Audrey Hepburn, who learned. I was just going to say,
I did not agree when you guys were going, to the hospital and you said this is going to be the name. Yeah. But I think Hepburn is a lovely name, first name. I think that is a beautiful name. It turns out you were right.
Yeah, everybody's constantly doing Katharine Hepburn impressions at her, and I'm like, no, the other one, darling. But she found out that this dress was available for sale, and then immediately got incensed that I was like busying myself with like jackets and like, what are you even looking at? Like that should be ours. It should be mine. It should live in our house. And thankfully it was like, as I was like slack jawed, like, how do I even get into this? My wife just jumped all over it and was like, no, that's not happening. We're not doing this. We're not talking daddy into any of this because he will do it.
Does she know about the witch's book from Hocus Pocus? No, like, so she knows about that, but that she wanted the dress also, or
more the dress, more like that. Wow. That supplanted the book, but I don't think the book got supplanted with the rest of the Condals in the house. So yes, so I think the book remains the target. But yeah, that would be it. I mean, I would just love to have that in a world where I had this giant display room and that could just be in like one corner as just a piece of honoraria for like my favorite sort of movie star from the great golden age of the studio
No,
system, you know, that
my
would be it.
answer is very similar, but different, which is I chose Lot 85, which was something we didn't speak about. It's actually the Burt Reynolds Deliverance wetsuit, and I picked it as a representative piece. And again, we hadn't spoken about it, just because there are so many wonderful
That's a good
70s
pick.
pieces of wardrobe in this auction. The Chinatown suit we talked a little bit about, the Godfather 2 jacket. I just, and I just wish I could commit to building like that wardrobe collection. I know we talk about that as a concept, and I just don't know where to quite start with that. But I really, really do. I'm just blown away by that piece. And again, that sort of 70s filmmaking, which was such an influence on not necessarily my collecting, but certainly my career choice, if that makes any sense. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and there are a bunch of pieces in this catalog in particular of films that really influenced me as a screenwriter or as a budding screenwriter. You know, the Rupert Pupkin jacket, the
Right.
Godfather jacket, certainly
Yes.
Deliverance. You can just go down the list. Chinatown, which
Yeah,
I
it's a real
studied
just
as a
killer 70s, 70s filmmaking 101. There's just some
wardrobe,
great
70s
stuff.
wardrobe. Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
70s wardrobe, exactly. A related question. Oh, sorry,
Okay.
go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was gonna come back to you with a question.
Oh, yeah.
How many things in this catalog are things that you used to own, Dave?
It's not
And
too
can you tell
terrible.
anymore?
It's not too terrible. I mean, the obvious thing we've talked about is obviously my helmet, the
Right.
Stormtrooper helmet, which the Return of the Jedi Stormtrooper helmet with the interesting Blue Harvest label or envelope label on the inside. Really gorgeous example. That used to be mine. I've spoken about that. There's a video about that on YouTube. It's a really fun piece. So that's the biggie where I'm like, that's mine. There's definitely a couple of, I think, odds and ends of like I think some Star Wars fan stuff. I think maybe the fan club lucite stars are mine. That
Oh,
say
I didn't see
those were
those.
like
Yeah.
those paperweight things on stars. I think they're mine. Or
Were those ones that you just kept buying, hoping to get somebody like ultimately shooting for the George Lucas one? Were you just trying
I
to
think
ascend the
I
ladder?
bought, and then I was able to find one in their original box. And then I
Okay.
also think there was a variation where there was one where it was like somehow engraved more. There was a variation that I truly don't remember that I felt the need to have. And then one day I looked and went, why do I have like, you know, too many of these, like 3 of each? And it was sort of like, okay, let's just get rid of these. Not
Yeah.
get rid of, but I think these are okay to sell off. And it's
Yeah.
interesting. This is something that happens with collecting in general. In the early days of my collecting, before both, I think I was as aware of props, but also there just wasn't the Star Wars stuff that I either wasn't seeing what I wanted, or also I was probably a little sort of what's the word? A little shy, a little afraid, a little bit. I was still learning about props, I guess. What I did do, though, however, was I picked up every gosh darn press kit and movie still set and whatever. And now I have all of this stuff. And by the way, loads of different drafts of Star Wars and Empire and, Jedi scripts. And I have a really wonderful collection of all of that. Now I sort of sometimes stare at that stuff and just kind of go, I wish this was all gone. I wish I had the drawer space. None of it's bad. It's
No.
just I was going after things that I feel like someone would want this more than me. That's, I guess, the easiest way of expressing that. So yeah. How about you? Anything of yours that used to be in this?
The
Anything
X-Files
that used to be in your
badges.
collection? The X-Files badges. That's right. You said that
Yeah,
on our
the X-Files badges,
show.
which
Yeah.
is also the answer to another question, which is stuff that you're bidding on, because I think I want them
You're gonna
back.
go better than back. That's pretty wonderful.
Yeah.
Another fine question, which maybe connects to the sophisticated to buy, but there's different ways of interpreting this. Are there things you can't believe exist in this catalog? And I have 2 answers, but I'll save one. I had written the Sabrina dress down. I was just sort of, I don't know why that, like, no, I know we were just talking about 70s wardrobe,
Yeah.
but just the fact that lasted so long, I think was really just kind of, I don't know, just fantastic. But how about you? Is there something you cannot believe exists?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things that just hit that. We were talking about, the classic era and the 70s wardrobe. I mean, the thing that just stands out to me because it's a backlot set piece is that mailbox from Mary Poppins and Bedknobs and Broomsticks. I just love that thing, and it's so evocative.
Motherfucker, that is literally the thing I had written down as my backup to the Sabrina dress. Oh, well, no, I mean, that's good. It's good. Yeah, no, I agree. Something about that mailbox that it exists. Obviously, that it was used in not just Mary Poppins, but also Bedknobs, but just that it exists, that someone took it. I love it. I do love it.
And it's like a set piece from a backlot, and like, who kept that and why? And did it end up in a prop rental house and somebody saw it and bought it? I don't know what the story is, but I just love it. And I love that it exists. And I also love that it's from these two classic films that were like such a big influence on me in my childhood, and then I watched again and again. Mary Poppins, Bedknobs and Broomsticks. Just loved both of those. So there you go.
Fabulous. Let's go into the chat for half a second.
Okay.
I think we've talked about this before, so we won't go too deep. Ryan, remind the audience, what was your first prop purchase? My first prop purchase is the Stormtrooper helmet that is in this auction that is up for sale on the 12th. So that's you would be able to buy my first prop purchase. That was the Stormtrooper. How about you?
Mine was a screen used Viper helmet from the Battlestar Galactica auction from the Ron Moore Galactica show, that the PropWorks auction that was held in Pasadena in 2009. I went to that auction as a replica collector and walked out of the auction as a screen used collector, quickly turned around and sold every single last one of my replicas, and then just kept buying originals. And that was 15 years ago, and here we are hosting a podcast. So there you go.
Very nice. Let us dive into another question, and this one I think is kind of fascinating. In this in the Propstore catalog, what do you think is the best big project? And what I mean by that is sort of like either a big restoration, something you would be picking up knowing you were going to do a big restoration on it, or a bigger display, or you can answer it any way you want, but like big project, this is not just something you order and just put on the mantle. It takes a little elbow grease, I guess. So what's your favorite big project?
I mean, is it achievable? I don't know.
Okay.
We're talking Fantasyland here.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
And unfortunately,
Ryan, this is just private between you, me, and our 55 best friends. It's okay. Right. Yeah.
We can just cut this out if it doesn't work.
Yeah.
No,
take 5. Hello, welcome to the Stuff Dreams Are Made Of. I'm writer collector Dave Mandel. We're set for an hour. Yeah,
I've gone for coffee.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of pieces from this character that are out there, and unfortunately, they all look somewhat in this condition. And I think it's just based on the material that it was made from and how tight it was to the actor. But it's lot number 32. It's the Selena Kyle Catwoman costume from Returns, and it's in really rough shape. But if there was a magical method by which to restore that amazing character, probably the best character in Batman Returns, and by the way, I would go for that if there was a way to do it.
It is Oscar Sunday, by the way, among other things, and I will put Selena Kyle and specifically Michelle Pfeiffer, that performance, as if that was today, I think she gets an Oscar nomination. But because that was 1980 whatever, and superhero movies were nonsense. I mean, I like that movie, but the idea of nominating somebody from a superhero movie, sort of, that was never going to happen back then. Do you know what I mean? And I think nowadays she would get that nomination. I think.
I think that's fair. Yeah, I think so. What about you?
Very
Dave?
Cool. That's very cool. I've got 2. One is easy and one is nuts. So the easy one, I think, is lots 463 and lot 464. I got to see these in person. It's the Wolverine jacket, the Wolverine shirt, and then buying a pair of Wolverine claws. Because I think, obviously, the shirt and the jacket speak for themselves, and that you could do the claws. I guess you could do it sort of in a lot of different ways. But to me, the way I would do it would be to have them kind of sticking out of like basically like this, like underneath the sleeves, or
Coming out
perhaps
of the
bending
sleeves.
the
Okay.
sleeves, maybe bending one sleeve, kind of like the cover to Wolverine 1 by Frank Miller, and kind of do this with the
Yeah.
claws like up
Yeah.
like that. So that would be really kind of great. Paul D77 says he has family visiting, so going to have to watch on rewind. Just thought I'd pop in and say great show, gents. Many thanks. Paul, if you loved us, you'd stay, but okay, fine. Go with your family, so be it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Stupid
my other
families.
project, which is a very weird thing, but I'm going to point it out anyway, because it involves both Propstore and our other sponsor, Heritage, which is the following.
Okay.
This auction has lots 206 and 207, which is a mask and shirt for the Lone Ranger, Clayton Moore, the Lone Ranger. And in the Heritage auction, which is whenever that is, they have a Lone Ranger hat. And so
Okay.
conceivably between the two auctions, you could put together like a Clayton Moore Lone Ranger complete like ensemble, or at least chest waist up ensemble. I guess
All right.
maybe no badge, but I had those toys, the Gabriel toys, and the original Lone Ranger on Channel 11 in New York holds a special place for me from when I was a little kid. And
Yeah.
anyway, just really love it. So a crazy project, but it could be good. It could be kind of incredible. And I don't think I'm gonna be, no badge, deal breaker. I just don't think there's a lot of interest. Like, I would be very surprised. I mean, I guess who knows? Peter Jackson, cut to Peter Jackson, just bid.
Not from your podcast I mean, this is just one place I think where TV and sometimes comic books where our generational gap is sort of revealed. I think movies were sort of equalized by the power of VHS and
no, this was definitely from a time when TV, like there was less choice in TV, when like sort of my youth, if you will.
That was not a thing for me.
Yeah.
But
no,
you do,
I get it.
Dave.
I get it. Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate it. Like I said, it's a bit of a project, but it was kind of neat.
All right.
Moving on. You want me to keep going, or you?
Should we do?
Well,
I mean, should we do okay? What's the thing? What's the thing that you think? What we'll do one for me and one for you. What's the thing in this auction that you think I should be buying, Dave?
I thought a lot about this. I think you should actually go for the Raiders jacket. Or sorry, I should say the Temple of Doom jacket. Yeah, I'm sorry. I thought a lot about it, and I yeah, exactly. Mark S. Indy jacket, C3PO helmet. I went back and forth between the C3PO helmet and the jacket. I don't know. I love the screen match. I mean, I guess they're both screen match. I don't know. The jacket.
Yeah.
I don't know. I get it. I understand your hesitation. I still think it's just incredible. I don't know. I don't know. I love it. And I keep thinking, I don't know, at some point Harrison Ford had to have put it on and then just said, no, give it to Vic or something. So I think he wore it at least for 7 seconds. Anyway, I would
maybe that's what hurt his back, Dave.
Yeah, exactly. Ow, who put something there?
Yeah.
I don't think I'm going to convince you. I didn't think I was necessarily going to convince you. I just did really love it. Of the things I knew you were thinking about, I really am just gaga for it. So yeah.
Well, thanks.
Sorry.
I mean,
sorry.
I guess you try to cost me money. I'll one up you, Dave.
Go
Here
for
you
it.
go. Here's my answer for you. I don't see how you're not bidding on that 3PO helmet. I think you're fucking insane.
I'm gonna show you why and how. You'll see.
Okay.
You'll see.
I just
why.
like, but it's not. I know it's New Hope, but it's not matched. And this is from.
Oh, it matches.
Oh, it does match.
Yeah, mine matches. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I got a match. Yeah.
Fair.
I have a match. Yeah. I'm just missing a back, but I've got some exciting plans. I got some very exciting plans for it. I've been talking with.
Who are you murdering to take their 3PO back?
Talking with Gino, and I've got some plans. Got some plans.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you'll see. But we'll share. And by the way, the first thing Gino says is like, "Hey, the next time I come, and we're talking about like setting up the Stormtrooper stuff. He goes, let's just film it all, and you guys can put it up on the YouTube channel." I was just like, all right, man, yes, absolutely. So
hell yeah,
totally. And that's something we're going to try and do a little bit more of too. Is maybe a little bit of us doing some, in between auctions, maybe some videos of us doing prop tours of our own stuff, or maybe picking 1 or 2 things, just like you can maybe a little close up of your display case and whatnot. And, me doing the same at my place. So that would be up there
Yeah,
for me.
I
Yeah.
don't. You've very grateful to Dave for doing all of the heavy lifting with the auction previews and Heritage and Propstore. I'm just not there. I would love to be there so I could do it. I do what I can here in London, but we are going to try to do more. I think featuring stuff from our own collection and just doing a little close-up work with an iPhone video and just us working with the prop and talking about it. So I think we'll just, as the auction world calms down, because this is what always happens. Dave and I prevaricate and procrastinate for 3 months, and then the auctions come to within, they're 3 weeks away, and then we're like, well, I guess we got to start recording, and then it's this, and we're doing live shows, and we're releasing 2 episodes a week. But I think when this calms down after March, when we get back into our normal rhythm of doing episodes with guests and just talking about what's going on in the prop world, we'll be able to do a little bit more looking at our own pieces and putting more video content up, because I know you guys do like that.
I'm going to just a couple of things that are coming up in here, and it's all very, really good, valid points. One person said, get the indie jacket and then upgrade it later. And I think there's, look at these numbers. I think upgrading is something that perhaps that, on the lower end is perhaps easier. I do think you can't necessarily be thinking like to yourself, I'm going to get this indie jacket, and then if I find a better one, I will sell this one. I'm not, you can do it. I'm just not sure that thought process.
No, this is my,
Yeah.
this is my problem.
Yeah.
And we went through this with friend of the podcast, Kelvin Mao, this morning. I was talking to him very early on my end, very late on his end. We're catching up. He's just gotten back from Japan on a big adventure of his own. And he was asking me about the indie jacket. And this is my existential problem with it, is that if in the next year, 2 years, 3
forget
years,
about year, if you paid it off and the next day, the day after it showed up, someone went,
that would be worse.
Here's a Harrison Ford one.
Because here's the thing: if a Harrison jacket shows up and goes into auction, I'll tell you what happens to this one. And that's right. Good luck unloading it. For the reason this is going to go for the number it's going to go for is because there are no Harrison jackets. They don't exist. So somebody is going to do the thing that Dave is trying to get me to do, which is like, well, it's good enough. And look, it is a great piece.
It's a little bit like the Pyro X-Wing in the auction before the X-Wing showed up. Had they been reversed, meaning
correct.
If a Harrison jacket was now and then the Vic one was, next year, I think, the prices flip, I guess, a little bit. I don't know. I don't have an answer. And Balerian the Dread asked, does the presence of this C-3PO head in the auction kind of fire you up your planning for an alternative for it? It actually does, only in that as people were sort of going to me, you should get that. And one or two close friends, by the way, including Propstore's Chuck Costas, where I said, well, no, I have mine. And they kind of went, oh, I completely forgot you had it, because it is not well displayed. It is kind of laying flat it is in a display case, but not in a very good way. And it definitely made me
it's in the kind of sandcrawler display mode right now.
Yeah. it definitely felt like, oh, you know what? That reminds me that's something good to do. Couple of things. I'm going to throw another catalog ready for you. A couple of more catalog questions here. We got the big auction coming up March 12th through 14th. What is to you the most insane thing Anthony Daniels kept that he's selling off on like sort of the day 2 or day 3? Although actually you can pick anything you like. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be day 2 or 3, but to you, what's like the craziest thing?
I mean, let's face it, it's all insane. Like, credit to Mr. Daniels. Is he a sir? Did he get knighted? Is he a sir, Anthony?
No idea. Anyone know? Let us know if he's a sir. I'm gonna, for the moment, Anthony. Tony.
Yes. I credit him for taking it all. I mean, what a genius for taking 2 3PO helmets home and waiting this long at the perfect time to offload them. So I tip my golden mask to you, sir. But the thing is, when I was going through his collection, in this most recent catalog, this is just for the catalog in front of us, not going to the last one. The thing that made me laugh the most when I stared at it is the Millennium Falcon parts, because it was like, was he like, I get he is
when I talked to him years ago, and he of course doesn't remember talking to me about this, he told me that basically they were setting the giant thing was on fire. They were burning it. They were just tearing it apart and burning it. And he just kind of went over and just grabbed a couple of pieces. And he said years ago, he meant to like put them like on a base, make like a little plaque, piece of the Millennium Falcon. But he wandered over and took like 6 of them, whatever. Yeah, exactly. Which is kind of just wonderful. I really laugh at. I mean, to me, it's sort of, I don't know, this is such a terrible thing to say, but obviously everyone knows what I sort of think about a lot of these like later films and whatnot. But just like some of the commercially produced stuff where like he's got, I mean, it's not even the commercially produced stuff, but it's just like the sneakers and his hockey jersey and that kind of stuff where it's just like whatever. I don't know. I just find that, I guess it's no different than keeping like a shirt from the, like a crew gift shirt. I mean, I don't know if that's the craziest thing.
That stuff was like sort of sent. I think I figure it was sent to him
Right,
because of a
to him,
likeness
yes,
thing,
to him,
or thank you for playing the character. I mean, Chance H. Mitchell Media has called up the
the
thing
gold
that I also
touch-up
love,
tape
the
is
tape.
fantastic. I mean,
Well
that's something
done,
I'm
yeah.
thinking about bidding on. And I think I said in the video, which is not crazy, there was this keychain that was some kind of a Return of the Jedi crew gift that I'd never seen before in my years
Oh.
of crew gift stuff. So I thought that was kind of interesting too. I don't know if this is an Anthony Daniels item or someone else's item. There's a C-3PO matchbook that says C-3PO is human that I think was done when the whole thing was over.
I
And
did see
then
that,
it
yeah.
was signed. And I got a kick out of that in a random way. I mean, I'm guessing that was someone else's. So maybe that's not technically Anthony Daniels.
That felt
but
like somebody
still,
else's
yeah.
that he signed for them and
Yeah.
then they took, and I don't know. Yeah. Okay, Dave.
Yep.
What's the worst Prometheus piece in the auction?
Well, I have a two-part answer to this. First of all, kudos to Brandon and Steven at Propstore for only including one Prometheus piece in this auction, at least on the day one, which is lot 11, the maquette. It is horrific and stupid and terrible. No, you're wrong. And that movie is awful. But honorable mention goes to the previous lot, which is from the Aliens Resurrection movie, which is almost equally as terrible.
Yeah.
And it is the newborn model, the face of the newborn. So that's an honorary terrible Prometheus piece.
That could possibly fit into another category, which is most horrifying or weirdest.
It's pretty horrifying and weird as well. Yes,
it is. It is.
What was your worst Prometheus
womb,
piece,
Dave? But it is womb adjacent.
Well, one of my I meant to say one of my big projects is to build a womb for it.
Very good.
Do you have a Prometheus piece that you hated, or
I just like it's deeper in the auction? I think it's day 2. It's a day 2 piece, but it's it's Charlize Theron's script from Prometheus, and it's like she was in the movie and she doesn't even want it. So which I enjoyed.
She's my next door neighbor, and there are millions of people pulling up. I think she's getting it all done up. I think for the Oscars.
Oh,
there's
very
lots
good.
of hair and makeup and stuff. I think.
I thought you were going to say people just honk and yell Prometheus all the time.
She, I'd like to hope she has no idea that this podcast exists in a very good way.
She's on the live feed, I think.
She's there. She is. She's off the set props. That's her. That's Charlize's name. This you're not allowed to name a piece from Prometheus, but thing you would never buy in this auction, like gun to your head, thing you will like never buy. Not allowed.
Oh, there's so many things, but I do have a good answer because it's a thing that you might think that I would want to buy because it just covers so many Venn diagrams in my life, but I would never buy it. And I have the best answer, which is it's lot 501. It's the Mr. Freeze diamond from Batman and Robin, and it encompasses 2 of the things I love very most in the world: Arnold Schwarzenegger
Batman,
and Batman, and I fucking hate it. So there you go. I'm never buying it.
I like it. I like it.
What about you?
Mine. Anyone want to guess in the audience, real quick? Anyone want to guess of my thing I would never buy? There's an obvious answer. I did not go off script on this one. It's very right down the middle. Anyone want to try? See if anything pops up on the chat for a second. Really quick. Anyone? One more second. Hoverboard. No, I've owned hoverboards. Doesn't bother me. 300 helmet. I've owned that too, but it does. I don't.
Yeah,
I'm sick of seeing them, but I don't hate it. No, the obvious answer that you're all missing out on is, of course, the Mel Gibson sword from Braveheart. I cannot look at that guy. And by the way, I recently watched the Road Warrior movie with my son. You didn't
see the Roadrunner movie,
yeah,
Dave?
No, exactly. No one's going to see that. The Road Warrior movie, which I sort of was just like, I'm going to hold my nose and just pretend it's not Mel Gibson because it's such a damn good movie. But I'm just not going to have that anti-Semitic sword in my house. So there you go.
Some good Propstore video call outs that made your co-host very uncomfortable, Dave. So well done on that.
Yes, thank you. We try. Lethal Weapon, same sort of thing. I might have to hold my nose when I watch it, but I don't think I'm going to get any props. Is the honest answer. You know what? Maybe I'll get a a Leo Getz, a Leo Getz prop. I would take a Leo Getz prop from 2 if that such a thing existed. I don't know what the Leo Getz prop would be, but
cell phone. Didn't he have one of those old Zach Morrissey cell phones?
It's very possible. It's been a while.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. They fuck you at the drive-thru. What prop would piss your/my wife off the most if you brought it home? Yeah.
Okay. Well, I can't answer for your wife, but I do. I actually have two good answers. I have a sort of a practical answer and an emotional answer. The practical answer, and it's something that I would think about if it wasn't for fearing death or divorce. Not necessarily in that order. It's the Mad Max car. It's lot number 208.
So that's just size, just sheer size. I like that.
Sheer size and ridiculousness of like.
I thought about that too. I put one of the motorcycles on the list. I put the Captain America motorcycle on the list, which was lot 86. Just in a, what do you mean? There's a motorcycle from whatever in our living room or garage.
And would you say I'm into choppers now? This is my thing. I got my white whale. I got my X-wing, and now I'm a chopper guy. I like and that. Then my sort of emotional answer is lot number 495, which is it's the Vicky Vale signed photo from Kim Basinger with making very sexy eyes that says "To my Batman."
Oh, a little jealousy.
So it's a little bit of a nondescript who she signed it to, and just a little insight into my relationship. So my wife and I met previously in my previous life when I worked in advertising. We met working at the same advertising firm together, and we were on the same team, and we met at work, fished off the company pier, et cetera, et cetera. And this was as I was sort of breaking into screenwriting. So I was in the process of extricating myself from the advertising world to go work in screenwriting, but I kept my advertising job until the last minute because I was terrified the screenwriting thing wouldn't work out. And we didn't want anybody to know because we worked on the same team and we didn't want accusations of whatever. So she actually kept me listed in her phone as Batman for many years. And many years after we were married, nice. I would ring her and it would come up as Batman. So it would be a nice inside joke, and I would hang it on the wall and say, haha, isn't this funny? And then it would be very not funny. So
would it help if it said "To David and Mark, you are my Batman"? Because I can make that happen.
I think it would. So what's your answer, Dave?
I had a couple of them. I mean, like I said, motorcycle was sort of the joke answer. The two that jumped out at me, one is sort of interesting for some reason, which is this is a piece that has shown up before in auction. And Becky saw it then and just sort of like attacked it viciously, which was lot 193. Oh, no, sorry. Lot 455. Sorry, I got the wrong numbers. Lot 455, which is the Figment puppet from Epcot Center. Yes. She just really thought it was just stupid. I don't know what else to say.
Okay. Yeah. I would figure that was like a safe.
No. Okay. Just was just like, what the fuck is that thing? I'm like, that's Figment. So just bothered her in her soul. My answer is actually lot 54, the Blade Runner, the car, because I feel like the idea, because I think it's going to go for a lot. I think it's going to go for a lot. By the way, Frank Berman, I like Figment too. But I think the Blade Runner, it's going to go for a lot. I mean, I think it's spectacular. I really, really, really like it. But I think it's going to be a big number. I really do. And I think if I came home with another high-price studio scale model on top of the X-Wing, that would cause some sort of a volcanic eruption that I'm not prepared for physically or emotionally.
What if you then also pulled Figment out? How do you think that would?
To distract. Yeah, exactly. So I think that is the answer. It's a very specific answer.
Also, related, friend of the podcast, Desi DeSantos says, come on, Ryan, you'd put that Harley that Arnold rode in T2 into your house. And yes, absolutely, I would. Yeah,
he would.
Thankfully, it's not available, so I don't have to go prevaricate over that particular prop problem. But yes, I very much would.
The flip side, prop your wife would secretly like the most.
Okay, so let me find it here. So I have a funny and then a real answer.
Go for it.
My funny answer is it's lot number 106. It's the screen matched costume from The Gentleman that belonged to Mr. Colin Farrell. My wife has a healthy/unhealthy obsession with young Colin Farrell. We've had many near passes, and I very much enjoy that.
Is that one of the plaid tracksuits that the coach wears?
Plaid suit.
Plaid suit. Okay.
Yeah. So it's his fancy wear. And she's very much not like that. She's sort of unfussed generally about celebrities, but Colin Farrell is very much on her laminated list. So I think I think that would fly in this house. And then the serious question lines up with the heritage auction. It's the Hocus Pocus potion,
Yep.
which it's lot 1308, which actually I think is a great little piece, and it's so evocative of that particular film. And I don't think I will actually be bidding on this, but anybody that's a fan of Hocus Pocus, I think that's actually a great little piece to describe your love of the film without having to break the bank to
Yeah,
get it. It's a day. I think that's actually a day
Stephen
4.
Withers asked, "What do you think are some of the diamonds in the rough?" And I would put that
Oh,
in the diamonds in the rough category because I think it's, small but great, but the movie, you know what I mean? And I don't think it is a uh, bank breaker. So I would definitely put
okay.
that under the category. I got my wife would go crazy for the Sandy drive-in outfit from Greece, lot
Yeah.
119. And she and I are both fans, and again, this probably falls under my non. Both of these are sort of my non-wardrobe collection. Lot 312, which is Sweet Sue's outfit, Sweet Sue and the Society Syncopators from Some Like It Hot. That's a movie that means a lot to both of us. Something we've seen a lot together, so that's kind of fun and nice. If if that were to sort of somehow
Yeah.
happen. And again,
Yeah.
I don't think that's a big price either. But anyway, um, the how many times can I not buy something award? Is there something in there, Ryan, that
uh,
like, is this the time that you keep talking about it and stare at, and maybe this is the time, and maybe the
I
X-Files
have an
badges
answer.
counts, but go ahead.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, I think those were only available once, and I did buy them.
But you've
It's
talked
more,
about, but I feel like over the years, as other X-Files badges have shown up, not the ones you used to own,
but not
you've
those. I mean,
considered them. Yeah.
it's the hang tags that keep showing up, not the wallet badges. Those have only shown up that one
I'm
other
sorry. I
time. So
understand. I understand that.
yeah,
Yep.
no, I did jump on those. The one I will laugh at is because I do have this little kind of crew jacket collection that I've put together,
Yep.
just my favorite films. So I have an Aliens one, I have a Batman one, I have I have that Round the World, whatever it was called, the
The
Around the
indie
World
one where when they
from
finished all three of the
for if
films.
you
Yeah.
worked on all 3 of the films. I have that from the great Mike Dawson, who is our special effects supervisor, who is one of the 30 crew or 40 crew that worked on all 3. The one that I see in every auction, and it's like my favorite movie, and it's Blade Runner,
The
and
Blade
I
Runner.
keep
Yep.
seeing them, and I was like, yeah, I got to get one of those one day, and I never bid on it. It's probably going to happen again this time,
Yeah.
so we'll be talking about this in the next auction too. But it's that Blade Runner crew jacket. What about you, Dave?
I mean, I went through, again, I stared at all the National Treasure stuff again, and then I landed on the Mummy book, that Mummy Book of Life, or
You
Book of
did
the
talk about
Living,
that cover.
sorry, which again, we have a really nice video on the YouTube channel up. It's just spectacular. It just really is. I mean, it's just good old fashioned great prop making. Just the lock and the hinge and the heft to it.
Yeah,
It's just really spectacular. I just went
it is.
just really crazy. The video on the Mummy, I'm being told, is not up yet, but it will be up later today, so you'll check that out.
I couldn't believe how heavy it was when I saw you
So heavy, yeah, in a
struggling.
wonderful way, and just
Yeah.
like, and I guess I don't know. To me, it works both as a prop, but it also sort of oddly works as a, I don't know. I think in another world, if I let myself, I would start looking at antiquities catalogs and start buying like Egyptian stuff, like real Egyptian stuff. So that would scratch that itch in a strange way that at least
Hmm.
at least I'm not buying like things from like the lost city of Thebes and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I do really, really like that. By the way, I should say, you're here on our YouTube channel. Please, if you're not a subscriber, subscribe to the YouTube channel, but also, dare I say, um, keep coming back because we're basically going to be dumping as many videos as we can before this auction starts.
God
We
bless
shot so
Dave
much
and Bart.
stuff. Yeah.
They
We shot
went
so
for it.
much stuff. Yeah. Just
And young Brandon.
kind of wild.
Really hung in there.
Yeah. Really quickly, just because I feel like we should get this done as we're hitting the hour mark, and then we'll see how far we go. But we've got an ad for Propstore. The how to bid. You have that in front of you,
Oh,
Ryan,
good
or
Lord.
shall I
That's the
just?
one thing that I didn't open. So give me
Okay, well,
one
you
moment here.
open for it. So, our sponsor this week, of course, is Propstore, the auction 12th through 14th March in Los Angeles. Lots of ways to bid. They make it very, very easy. Version number 1, live bidding. The general public is invited to bid live on the first day of auction on March 12th at the Peterson Automotive Museum in Los Angeles. If you're in Los Angeles, consider coming out. This will be a fun event with fellow collectors in attendance and many of the biggest ticket items being auctioned on day 1. Live bidding will not be offered on day 2 and 3, but on day 1, you can go to the Peterson Museum, check out the museum. You also never know who's going to turn up. You never
Like
know.
Dave.
like me, but except I won't be there. But you never know. Hint, hint, hint. I've heard some rumors, so check that out.
Dave will be
Version
bidding
2.
online, where
Yes,
most
there you
people
go.
bid on Propstore.com for each auction. You can bid 2 different ways at Propstore.com. In advance, you can place advanced bid online anytime and absentee bid before live bidding starts, or you can bid live. If you're following along on your computer on the auction days, it will prompt you for your most current bid as the auctioneer is calling out the auction, and you can just bid and spend your money and your children's future at the click of a button. Propstore is also mirroring the auction on other bidding platforms, including Live Auctioneers, Sale Room, Invaluable, and Druot.
What
That's
the
a
hell
new
is
one.
Druot?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
Tell
I've
us, people,
literally
what's
never heard of
Druot?
Druot. Yes.
So you can bid online using any of these platforms, including whatever Druot is, although additional charges may apply.
By the way, Live Auctioneers, I know what that is. Sales Room, I get what that is. Invaluable, I get what that is. Like, these are names that evoke a certain idea of collectiblesness and auctions and bidding and sales and whatnot. Is Druot a word in another country that means like
Druot is
live
like
bidding?
Is like you've reached the end of the internet, and that's the only 5-letter combination of letters
that you can
available left.
copyright still.
Yes,
That's
right.
my favorite Dungeons and Dragons module, the Lost Realm of the Druot.
That's the one that
yeah.
if you look at it, it turns you to stone, right?
Chuck says it's French. I don't believe that. I think that's made up. Phone bidding. If you choose to bid via phone, a member of the Propstore team will call you 5 to 10 lots before your scheduled lot. This way you can be sure not to miss bidding on your lot. If you haven't already registered for phone bidding, please do now.
And you can have the same thing that Dave and I always do, which is a very awkward conversation for like
while you're
7
waiting
minutes.
for those 5 to 10.
Yeah,
those
as you're
5
nervous
to 10 lots,
as shit about the lot that's coming up, and they're like, "Hey, so what are you bidding on today?"
And sometimes
over there?
It's somebody over in the UK sometimes too, or maybe they fly in and they do it here. But then there's a lot of just like, how's your day today? The weather's nice, because they're just excited, like they want to ask about California or wherever you are, and it's wonderfully excruciating.
Like, shut up! I'm trying to concentrate.
Sweet. Yeah.
I'm mortgaging my future here.
The worst is every now and then you're waiting for something, and then like 2 items before you like goes crazy, and so it just adds like 30 minutes to your hold time because something goes really crazy, and you're just like la 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 la. I always enjoy the ones where I'm like, it's early in the morning, like the UK one, and I'm like on the phone, but I'm in bed, so that always makes me laugh. I'm just sort of like half asleep trying to bid. The thing about phone bidding is it allows you to go over the number you were initially thinking. If you're thinking of sticking to the number that you were thinking of, then I recommend the written absentee bids. You fill out an absentee form, you write down your highest bid, the auctioneer will place your bids in the live bidding session for you. One advantage is that in case of a tie, absentee bids take precedence over all other bids. The phone bidding and absentee bidding forums can be found at propstore.com/live auction. And again, with the written absentee bid, you don't make a deal with yourself and then go over your number. So what else can we say? A reminder,
unless in my case, Dave, you leave an absentee bid at the auction, you lose the item, and then they come to you 3 days later and say that the bidder has gotten cold feet and doesn't want it anymore. Would you like to buy it? That's another way. That's a great way. The absentee.
That's option 5.
That's a way to go 4 bids over your absentee bid. The auction starts each day at 9 a.m. Pacific time and 4 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, because we're in this weird nether phase where London is only 7 hours ahead of LA, so keep that on your clock so you don't miss anything.
I feel like there's a great heist movie where like you plan a heist for the missing hour when like LA goes to like daylight savings and London doesn't, and it overthrows the computer lock.
That's a good one.
Something?
Yeah. I like that.
Okay. Yeah. Email Propstore at support@propstore.com or call them at 818-727-7829. That's support@propstore.com or 818-727-7829. And what else?
And don't forget to check out the Screen Match Gallery on the live auction website and all the videos from Propstore, stuff dreams are made of, and tested before the big event.
But mostly the stuff dreams are made of. Mostly the stuff dreams are made of. All right, that's a live ad read.
And there you see how the magic is done, people. This is two professional
peek behind, yes,
broadcasters. Just
anything else? I'm trying to look at our weirdest thing in the auction for you.
I mean, we already talked about this. I tried to beat it or have it. There's just nothing weirder than that Hellraiser shit. I'm sorry. Like,
no, I know. What about weird, weird, like fun weird? I don't know. I kind of went that way. Yeah, I tried to avoid more of the Hellraiser wombs and alien stuff. Yeah. I'll give you mine. My fun weird, which I thought was really neat, was lot 124. It's the
Okay.
egg cracker machine from
Yeah,
Gremlins
that's
that
a good
his
one.
dad invents.
Love that. And it's screen matched.
Screen matched, fun prop, fun movie. Again, not a gremlin from Gremlins, but just a very weird little memorable moment, a little memorable piece of Gremlins. I don't know. I just really dug it. So that was my weird kind of whatever thing.
Good
you
call.
know what I mean?
I'm not going to beat that. I don't have a better answer. And I 4 lots down, I'm just staring at Hellraiser horror staring at me. So let's move on to the to the next question. Okay, Dave. So what's the lot from these auctions that you would most like to be gifted?
Ooh, that I most want to be gifted?
Yes.
Not counting the C3PO ties, is that that does not count?
Correct. And I think the criteria for this should be something that you wouldn't buy. You wouldn't.
Well,
it's
the
the whole
so
thing.
funny.
Like, you wouldn't buy it for
this
yourself.
Connects to the beginning. If someone's going to buy me something, if any of our 80 whatever people are there, you are welcome to buy me the Godfather 2 jacket, because I would really appreciate it. But I don't think I'm going to bid on it. But I fucking love it, and I should bid on it. I don't know what to say. I should bid. I don't bid. So that is the gift I want. Yes.
Very solid answer. So for me, it's one of those giant Blade Runner matte paintings. There's no way on earth I'm bidding on any of those things, but I would fucking love to have one and just have it like framed and hanged massive in a future room in a house that isn't in London that has room in it, where it could just be the presentation piece in the room. So if anybody wants to buy me that, I also have a cheaper answer for anybody who's looking for a more economical,
more reasonably priced. I don't. Yeah, go ahead.
It's lot 1192. It's the Orson Welles portrait, and I just love it. And I would actually just buy it and then frame it in my office, and then just tell stories about that time that I met Orson Welles, and let people try to do the math,
try and figure out, is that even possible?
About
like sort of possible.
I mean, when
you would have been very young, and he'd have been very old. Yeah,
I guess he was really into film and voiceovers or whatever. But that's the one.
Let us now from what do we want to be gift? What would I buy you, Ryan, as a joke that you would be stuck with for the rest of your life, or what would you buy me as a joke?
Very good.
I have 2 answers, and there's 2 reasons for both. One is the piece I would like to sort of make you have, and then it would just be right over your left shoulder every time we did this show,
and you can never sell it.
You can never sell it. No, you must have it.
And
you're
you
always
must display it.
Yep, and you're always like, oh, I want to get rid of it, but it was a gift from Dave.
Yeah.
It's the full-size Robin Williams bicentennial band costume, lot 46, and I would just like to see that right next to your indie shirt and hat for the rest of your life. So that's my big answer, but I have a little answer too. If that was sort of, if I got in a bidding war and I didn't win it.
By the way, I hope the consigners of all these lots are on the live feed of the podcast, so they can curse us live and in person. We're
still plugging them. We're giving the numbers. It is what it is. This is very, very specific. It is lot 678. It is the Justin Timberlake chairback from In Time, because I just think if that was on your wall, people would constantly be saying to you, did you write In Time? Did you work on In Time? No. Are you a big Justin Timberlake fan? No.
Very good.
Yeah,
I think that's really good.
I spent a lot of time on that. Yeah,
I would have to tell my JT story all the time. Very good. I like that. All right, Dave. So mine for you, I like this category very much. Mine for you is lot number 402.
Uh-oh.
It's the Mandalorian miner's helmet. That's production made.
Oh, is it a Mandel-Orion?
Yeah. No, but it is misspelled. The lot is actually misspelled. I'm actually serious. And so it really ticks all of the boxes, I think, for you. It's production made. It's from a new Star Wars thing from the Disney era, and you could never sell it. And I would be delighted to see it lurking behind your head all the time,
just hanging on those 2 hooks there.
That could replace. I actually have another pitch for the hooks, but we'll get to that. So I have 3 things for you, Dave.
Okay, go for it.
My other one is something I think you might actually begrudgingly like, and that's the reason I picked it. It's lot 1132. It's the Join Arnold ephemera from his gubernatorial campaign.
Oh, I wouldn't mind that.
And I'm like, Dave, you were, I've never asked you this, but you were a California resident for his entire run. Did you ever vote for Arnold?
I think because I voted against the recall. I'm trying to remember. I voted against the recall. And then maybe I did vote for him at some
Oh
point. Yeah,
wow.
no, I
Okay.
think I did. I think I did. Yeah.
I was
But
doing it as sort of like your
I voted
favorite
against the
superhero
recall. Yeah, no,
versus
I know.
like the wrong political party.
Wrong political party, but at a time where he wasn't necessarily wrong about everything that he was saying about
Yeah.
California. So I was okay with him for the most part, and certainly very okay with him right now. I mean, any guy that can like regularly speak against Nazis is okay with me. But no, I'm
Yeah. Who
okay
would
with
think
that
that
one.
would
Yeah.
be being outspoken in your
Yeah, I
party?
know, I know.
Weird.
I'm good with that. I'm good with that one. So I'm okay with that. I would like that from the political standpoint too. I would just find that interesting as a political piece of ephemera, by the way, just in
Okay.
general. Yeah,
Good.
yeah,
All right.
yeah,
Well, then it's a
yeah,
good gift. Maybe I
yeah.
will actually buy this for you, Dave.
And does that go there or no? Something else is going behind
No,
there.
that's
Yeah.
the next one. That's
Oh,
not
go for it.
1215. It's the Michael Richards distraction photos from Curb Your Enthusiasm that I just want to hang exactly in the background of your feed and never explain, other than this live feed, never explain why they're there from here on.
I
And
had
anybody,
one of those and sold it already. I had those are like 5 of those or whatever, however many there are in that lot. Those were taken by our wonderful, now sadly gone friend, James. He took those photos and actually is an extra in the scene. And I had one, and I just at some point it was just, like a beautiful shot of a woman's breast and nipples, and it was just like, this needs to leave me. And it sort of, I think, sat on the Propstore website for a very, very, very long time.
I think particularly the one with the Beretta, the gun, and the naked woman. I think that's the one for the background of all future podcasts.
But when you watch the episode, it's a great gag. I mean,
it
the
really
way
is.
he's so thrown by it. It is just, it is really kind of fucking
genius.
great.
Do you remember whose idea that was?
I don't. I think it was something that happened to Larry in real life. Not not those specific images. Those came from James, but I think that was sort of a vague version of something he had sort of encountered, but not specifically that had happened. So yeah, wherever that fits in. Well, before we should sort of start to try and wrap it up, let's just go into really quickly into the chat for anything that we I'm trying to sort of, can I scroll up in the chat? Oh, there we go. Is there anything that Bart has put in the chat here that we sort of favorite movie? Oh God, on what day? But Star Wars is up there for me, obviously.
Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Godfather. Oh, these are all
committed
true.
to it.
Very hard to name one. This is a big one that I know I did see come up, which is, do you guys think the number and volume of auctions is affecting the market? And people are commenting on the fact that obviously we have back-to-back weeks of auctions, multiple auctions. I'd love to sit here and kind of say, oh yeah, no, the prices are being lower than we've ever seen. But it does seem like on the big ticket items, I don't know. I certainly don't notice an effect. I think as prop collectors are losing our minds, but I think I have not noticed an effect on the market. I do think there's a soft middle. I think there's a soft middle in all collectibles, which is to say, people that buy things and are looking to flip them later, if it's not the best of the best, you are going to have trouble getting out of something, which is why I always say, love what you're getting. Don't be buying it because you think you can flip it, wherever that fits in.
Yeah, and I think I think the thing that happens when you have this glut of auctions and A+ material that's happening through March here is there are deals. Deals will happen.
Yes.
You don't see it as a trend across the collection or across the industry, but you will find deals between here and the Heritage Auction. It's just going to happen because this is still a rather niche interest. It's growing, but still niche. And there's only so much money at the highest levels. And you just never know. Any given day, somebody misses, the phone call doesn't go through, but there will be deals to be had. So
yeah, I think that's very true with just so many items going up for sale in 3 weeks. And yet it keeps coming, and there's not much. I think I think there's only going to be more auctions in the future. That's not. I mean, there's nothing that you can say about that other than it's the truth. I did appreciate the fact that, in its own way, this was a slightly smaller auction. Now that Propstore is up to 3. And I will certainly not be shocked that they will be at 4 soon enough. That's not based on any fact. That is just my guess. They are going to get
I think
4.
so.
Yeah.
I really wouldn't mind them going to the, forgive me because I know Propstore won't love this, but the Heritage model of having the Platinum Night where they do the like top 100 lots or whatever on the first the first day and they make it a real event, and it's all, Heritage
Yeah.
does it with the comic art where it's all the very best interiors and covers and splash pages, and it's the stuff that attracts the biggest money and the biggest attention. It's the stuff that they promote, and then they just have a normal sort of regular auction for the days that follow. And I think that would be a model, at least for them to consider, because I think you could really make a real in-person live event out of that first day, particularly being in London and Los Angeles, where so
I'm
many
not
of the
disagreeing with
collectors
any of it. I mean, Propstore definitely, and Jeremy just pointed this out as well. The way they're now structuring their 3 days, where day one is sort of like slightly more of their creme de la creme, but obviously it's a big day. And
and
day two,
wounds.
right? And day two is day two, but day three is a no reserve day, which is a sort of nice sort of fact in terms of, I mean,
Yes, which
again, in terms of
I
deals
like
to be
that.
had, but
Yeah.
also just I think just in terms of like thinking about the 3 days as you're sort of, I guess, approaching sort of like what are you doing? You know what I mean? I think that's I think that makes some sense to me. Jack Proctor asks, "What's the most regrettable impulse buy you've ever made at auction?" That would be the X-wing. How about you?
His most beloved and most regretted.
Yes. Yeah. And by the way, the love and hate, the two sides, but yeah.
I thankfully don't have one. I have, for somebody that seems as insanely impulsive as it would be to have sit in the room that I'm sitting in. I'm actually fairly disciplined and well controlled, and I've been very, very good. I think I had more impulses earlier in my collecting career when I was collecting other things. I think I got through that and sort of managed my way through, and got to here as a more reasonable, responsible collector.
Very
just
cool.
before we sign off, Dave, there was one thing I just wanted to go through, because I did bother to make a list, and we can go through this very quickly. Favorite things in days 2 and 3. I just right before we sign off, we can even just rattle these off. Was there anything that reached
Again,
you?
some
I loved the Dracula letter 524, the letter to Keanu Reeves from Dracula. The thing I really loved, which I even thought, like, should I be bidding on this just because it's cool? The signed Casablanca sheet music 538.
Holy shit, I have that
Paul
down too.
And Ingrid
Bergman. I wrote that down too. I wrote 538. Just the idea that exists.
And it's as time goes by,
right?
And that was actually our wedding song.
Doesn't say to Dave and Mark, but again can be added very easily, very simple,
or
by a paper store.
Yeah.
Yep, to my weird. Batman.
Yeah.
To my Batman, a kiss is but a kiss. Signed Ingrid Bergman. What the fuck?
Perfect. Please, let's make
that good news. The signed fake Ingrid. This is real, but I'm saying there'll be some other auction on eBay. Like right now on eBay, you can find an Ingrid Bergman signed to my Batman. As a kiss is but a kiss. And good news, it comes with a certificate of authenticity. Yeah. So that's good. Someone, by the way, asked if you and I ever traded anything. We haven't traded anything, but we've sold each other things at reasonable numbers, I feel like. So does that count?
Yeah. So I traded Dave money for.
Yes, exactly. I wrote down 477, which is the Stillwater Rolling Stone from Almost Famous. It's a movie I just really, really like. And I love those kinds of, again, we've talked about books and magazines and like prop movie books and magazine props, and that's just a good one. The entire reason for the film, he's writing this cover story on Rolling Stone that doesn't happen till the end. I also wrote down 640, which is Madame D's Last Will and Testament from the Grand Budapest Hotel. I love that movie, and that's a fun one.
The Richard Edlund Ghostbuster script, lot 627. I just love that, and that because that movie is so based on how great that script was. And it's Richard Edlund, the visual effects supervisor. That is a super cool script to have from a super cool crew member, and I think that it's very cool that that's buried on day 2, because to me that could easily be a day 1 item. So there you go.
I'm with you there.
I also love the Idiocracy lot 676. That just made me laugh.
Yes, very just funny and stupid in the
funny and
idiotic as it should be.
Yes.
I'm going to throw out a piece of comic art to end on, which is 898, which is from the Bill Plum collection. He's got a lot of wonderful Star Wars art up there. This is, I think, now the second or third auction of Bill Plum stuff. But it's a piece, it's a sketch of Obi-Wan Kenobi, but it's by Mobius, and I am gaga for it.
Cool.
I plan on bidding on it, but I have no real sense of where it's going to go. But I really I really did like it. Do like it, did like it. There's a whole bunch of other Star Wars art. There's some other comic art in there. Nothing that I need to have, but some very nice stuff. But I thought his Star Wars art, he's got a couple of Macquarie pieces in there, just some really nice pieces. And I think I don't want to say it's all price to move, but again, I think in the Star Wars art world, there are some nice bargains there. So yeah, wherever that fits in. To wrap things up, Ryan, what do you have a plan? Do you know what you're bidding on? Do you want to say?
I think in this particular
Yeah.
auction, I mean, I'm looking at a couple of things. I think I do want to try to get the X-Files badges back.
Yep.
I realize that's probably damned me by saying it, but let's see how that goes. Hopefully everybody will be asleep at that point.
By the time it gets to X,
it is like the last item.
2 a.m. in the UK. Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? Or is there anything you're sure about?
Well, I mean, other than the Mobius Obi-Wan Kenobi sketch, look, this is not going to be a shock for anyone that's been sort of listening to me. I'm definitely thinking about that indie shirt. I mean, I shouldn't say thinking about it.
Yep.
I will be bidding on the indie shirt.
You should be.
And I'm going to probably throw a bid at least one or two on that Hitchcock parking sign. I still really like that, and I just get a kick out of it. But those are probably, I mean, again, there's a lot, and there's a couple of odds and ends of the a couple of pieces of the Anthony Daniels, a couple of little pieces where I realized I have neck bolts, but I don't have the back piece of the neck bolt, like sort of I don't know what to call it, the nut, maybe the part
that actually fits it to the head.
Well, it kind of I have the front piece, but not the piece that locks it in. I don't know the washer. I don't even know.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, the nut. I mean, that would be the nut.
Oh, that is the nut. Okay, so there you go. There you go. So I like that. I like the antenna piece on the head is something my helmet does not have, because that obviously attaches to the rear part that I don't have. So I'm sort of looking at that stuff. The C-3PO undersuit. So a couple of things from the Anthony Daniels. So those are probably where I am. With Earl Hayes Press printing Back to the Future Sports Almanac, should we avoid those in auction? What do you mean printing? Joshua, I honestly don't even know. Is
that's the guys that,
no, I know, but are they printing new ones? Are they making more of them?
I think they're making replica. I mean, it's all muddy. I mean, look, I'm sure these are all well researched. That piece just concerns the hell out of me. An auction does not go by without one in it. I don't know how you buy one of them and think it's the used
I would
one.
want to know I was getting one that maybe originated with Zemansky.
That would be
prop guy is probably about the best I feel like I could do wherever that fits in.
Something that says it's for sure. Then that's one that I think we've just seen too much. All those paper props, frankly, from Back to the Future 2, there just seem to be too many of them. You see the same ones in every auction, and I'm not saying anything bad is up, but it's just, with for example, with the Harry Potter letters, the ones that like fly through the mailbox, we've seen in the film, we know there were thousands of those things, and that makes sense that there are that many around. I just, with the almanacs in particular, it's just, there's one in the movie. I just don't know how many of them. I mean, I'm sure they would have made a bunch, but it's always bothered me. I'm sure there's a Back to the Future expert that can explain why it's not a concern, but those things always bug me. There's actually a good question here, Dave, before we go, from David Brolin, who's asking what we think of the A to Z title order in most prop auctions. And I've talked about this before, and I think Propstore should just do this one auction where they just go the other way. And the reason they do this is because they don't want to show favoritism to when a lot gets listed or where you go, because people would be vying for where I go. And this way, it's very clean for them. They just say it goes in alphabetical order. That's how it goes. But I think, every auction I go to, I always see all the Aliens, Blade Runner props auctioned off, and I never see the Star Wars stuff, because it's either it's time to go to sleep, or I've been at the auction for 6 hours.
Well,
and I can't
but also
the
flip side, which is you bid on, if you're waiting for Star Wars, you don't bid on the stuff before it.
Correct.
And if you're, and vice versa. There was a funny thing.
I would love to see them do once a year. Like, if they're going to each do 2 auctions,
do it A to Z and a Z to A.
Exactly. Have the second auction go Z to A. Just start with the X-Files badges and go.
There was a thing years ago, I don't know if it was the Writers Guild or the Emmy voting, where when they sent you the master list every year, they would start on a different letter. You know what I mean? So like if you were looking at the shows to vote on, one year it would start with G, and it would go GHIJ, you know what I mean? And then it's Z, A, B, C, D, E, F. And then the next year it was a different letter. That way, like the idea being that people get lazy and vote for like the early categories, I guess. And they sort of cycled it through like that way.
And Dave, we have the Mary Poppins mailbox consigners on our live chat.
hello, George Savas.
George.
Where
Yeah.
did that come from? If you can say that, or
If you can
is that
quickly
something?
type that in.
Yeah, if you can type that in, are you from the UK? Do you have a connection to the Disney studio or anything like that? Or where and how? I don't know anything.
Are you just a regular
mailbox
thief?
fan? Are you a mailbox collector that actually just ended up with that and realized it was a movie prop? You thought you were getting a red box direct from Disney Prop House Suburban. Makes sense.
There
Okay.
you go. Okay.
I don't know. I think
he
you know
doesn't
what,
say
guys?
he didn't steal it.
Right. I think we're going to call it there at an hour and 20.
Yeah.
I hope that's okay. We are very curious. If you wouldn't mind, feel free to email us. Did you enjoy this format? Are there other questions you would want us to like ask each other about the catalog on this day? Other things we can do? We are very curious. So please, you can email us at
dreamsaremadeofpodcast@gmail.com. How many people in the feed can actually type
I know they
out
all
that?
could do it.
Yeah.
And if you go to our bio site, which is linked on all our social media, please sign up for our mailing list, and that way you'll get to go. Live game. All right, we'll do live game before we go. I promise, Thomas. Please sign up for our mailing list, which is on our bio site, because that way we can kind of keep you in the loop about products and whatnot. That would be really fun. And obviously follow us on social media at Props Podcast on Twitter, X, and Instagram, and we have a Facebook group as well. If you don't mind signing up for everything, that would be wonderful. Live game. Go
I have
for
a game for you. What's the thing that you wish you kept from Seinfeld but didn't?
Well, kept or got, because I'm not sure I ever had
kept or got.
anything.
Yeah,
okay,
for me, it's gonna have to be a got, because
I think it's for got, because I have a couple of things, but I never really, well, other than that, well, I guess that Curb, the Michael Richards thing, I've never had things that I really got rid of. Boy, what would have been very fun to grab? I don't know. Alec Berg grabbed Kramer's door. Jerry took his door and Alec took Kramer's door. And I wish I'd had the fucking wherewithal to grab Kramer's door. I don't know about the Kramer turkey. I would have really liked the big ball of oil, just because that was an episode that I worked on. And I can't remember if there were like if we made, I don't know if we made cards and stuff for like Kramerica Industries with Darren the intern. I mean, again, I'm sort of thinking about my little period. Oh, I can answer this because it's my episode, and ultimately I want things from my episode. I wish I had kept the little picture of Man Hands with her stats on the back. Favorite president, James Polk. I wish I had kept that. So there's my answer.
That's a good one.
Festivus poll, that's a good one. Yep.
The Festivus poll is a good one. I mean, my favorite Ass Man license plate, that's a really good one. My favorite episode, it just makes me laugh every time I see it. I mean, they all do, but I just love Kenny Rogers Roasters. I think that zany episode is just great. I would love the How's Life on the Red Planet. I would love the that
was all real, right? That was like a New York Post story. There was a Kenny Rogers on the Upper West Side of New York, 71st and Broadway, and the light was driving. I mean, I don't, not to the Kramer extent, but it was at the time, it was a kerfuffle.
I love it. And I love like the Overlook Hotel of like Kramer's apartment and how Jerry moves in there and then slowly becomes Kramer. I just love all of that stuff. And but I would love a Kenny Rogers, like the uniform or the paper hat. I don't think I need the sign, but just something
the
from that episode.
Actual giant electric sign.
My other thing would be a J. Peterman catalog. I just want one of the J. Peterman catalogs with were those all done? Were those all done with like the actual descriptions written? I mean, I
don't remember even looking. My guess is it was just like a pasted in thing. I was gonna say an urban sombrero would have been a fun one just to actually have as a prop. The portrait and whatever would be kind of cool. One of the best things I have in my collection, it's not an original. Jerry has the original. Maybe I've told this on the show, so forgive me, I don't remember. Is the guy who painted the Kramer. Did I ever tell you this? The guy who painted the Kramer.
Oh, that's a great prop.
We did it. The Kramer painting is incredible. But we did a goodbye gift for Jerry, which is we had the painter. He came and took basically photo reference of all of us wearing like togas. I'm not making this up. We put on like on top of our clothes, like sheets and whatnot. And he basically did a painting that we gave as Jerry, but I have a print of it, which is it's the Last Supper with Jerry as Jesus. And then all of us writers as the various, we voted, we looked up in a Bible dictionary, the attributes of the disciples. And then voted on who would be what. So Peter Melman, who had just left the show to create It's Like You Know, he's Judas because he left the show. So he's Judas. So that was all very, very fun. Yeah.
Very
and
good.
then
Do you
I
have
a
that
print of
framed?
it. Yes, it's framed like in the little like sort of like in between the guest bedroom. It's there. I'll show it to you. I'll try and put up a picture so everyone can see it. It's pretty fun. Ryan Hood, longtime friend of the show, says we should live stream day one for each auction. Would be fun to talk about auction results. So Ryan, would that be a 10-hour live stream, including us phone bidding during the auction?
Who's drawing up my divorce papers, everybody? Yeah.
I would do that once, but I don't think I could. The idea that we would be doing that twice, once
maybe
this
for
week
like
and
a
once
special,
next week.
maybe for like a, if a Greg Jean auction comes around again, where it's like a one-off event thing, maybe we'll consider doing that.
All right, so if someone wants to bring Greg Jean back to life and then kill him, we will do it. Thank you, everyone. I don't have the Superman statue from Jerry's Park, but I have the Bizarro Superman statue.
Love that
Bizarro
Superman
statue. Episode. I have that in my collection, and I have the Superman statue from the Curb episode when we did Jerry's apartment. So there you go. 4 a.m. in Asia. God bless you, Richard Miller. Hey, thank you everyone for joining us. We'll see you next week, which is the 17th. Does that sound right?
March 7th. St. Patrick's Day, baby.
Yep, March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. We will see you at 12 noon LA time. Was that 4? I don't even know what time. 7 p.m.
4 Eastern, and then 7 GMT London time. Yep.
But we'll have all that stuff up, and there'll be a new episode on Wednesday as well
in Asia.
Yeah. Ingrid Bergman can sign Ryan's divorce favors. You are my Batman. We are divorced. Thank you, everyone. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Mwah.